Hello everyone, this is Clay with DigiFactors Animation, and welcome to another Muvizu tutorial. Now, as you can see, I already have this scene opened up, and this is the scene that I use in the teaser trailer of a video I'm making called Star Wars Kevin Eddy Episode 2 The Rum Strikes Back. It's just a very simple scene with a building on top of a dune and got a few other dunes in there, power generator, and a sandcrawler. But for this tutorial, I added a droid. Okay. Now let's just say that you're making a unique uh, video with Muvizu, but you want to use more other characters other than what Muvizu provides. And you have to import your own character. Now, in Muvizu, whenever you import your own character, even if it's already animated with bones or rigged, it doesn't matter because once you import it into Muvizu, Muvizu recognizes it as just one solid object and it will be static. You won't be able to animate it. So what you have to do is just in your modeler break down your character into several parts like arms, legs, feet, neck, head, and then import each one. That's the only way you can animate your own characters into Muvizu. Another fallback on that is when you import your character, it doesn't have the built-in lip sync features that the Muvizu characters have. So you wouldn't be able to animate the mouth to move it around with the speech. But I have a workaround for that, and this is what this tutorial is about. And it is about animating textures with keyframes. Alright, now if I move in closer to this droid, and this droid is used in the video of Kevin Eddy. He is the guy that invites everyone, says hello to everyone, and then asks for their name, and he checks to see if they have an invitation to be there. If not, you got to get out. But that's what this droid does. Okay, and I can't remember what his name was, but I'm gonna call him Fred for that right now. Now, his textures I made using Paint.net. I love that program. It's free. It's a great alternative to Photoshop and that. If you can't afford to get Photoshop, but I just get it because I like it better. And now on his head, as you can see, I have his neck is attached to his head. I have another version that it's not, but I used this one for the tutorial. Okay, and then if you look close, you'll see his bottom jaw. Okay, and that is the part we're going to animate. How you say if we can't move it? Well, we're not going to really move it. We're just going to change the textures. Right now, other than this piece right here, of his jaw, I have a duplicate piece hanging down at an angle right here, which you cannot see it, but it is there. Why? Well, that's because this part of the texture where the open jaw is on a part that's transparent. Okay, the texture of that part is transparent. Okay, and this part is on a piece that is textured but no transparent. So I have two copies of the same textures, but I changed the transparency around with that texture. So I had the bottom part setting on the part that is textured, and I'm at the top part, the top jaw, I'm sorry, the top jaw, I have the top jaw setting on the part that is textured, and the bottom jaw setting on the part that's not transparent. Well, and on the other texture, I have it turned around. So that top jaw will be on the transparent area, and then the bottom jaw will be on the textured area. Let me demonstrate it for you and show you what I'm talking about. If I right click on the head and go to edit, and then I go to the properties. Whoops, sorry, I was already on the properties. Well, I click on the icon to bring up the textures library. As you can see, I have two copies of the same texture. That's because the rest of the droid is sharing the same texture with the head. So when we change those textures around, it will not it won't change the texture of the rest of the robot. We're just concentrating on the head. So like I say, if you see, if I just touch them, nothing changes because they're the same texture. But we're going to import another texture that has the bottom part of the jaw open. So let's import that texture. Now these are the two textures that I have. These are the textures that are here. Now if you look at this one right here, it is the same as those two. And right next to that gray texture, right next to it, that's the transparency part. That is the part, the one that the jaw is open is sitting on. While on that part, the one that's shut is sitting on. So what we need is, if you look at them, they're different. I just moved them around. So we already have this one, so we need to import this one. Now, watch what happens to the mouth when I import that one. So I'm going to import it and then open. See, his mouth is open now. I just switched the textures around when I imported it. So if I click on this one, he shuts his mouth. So I click back on that one, he opens. We just keep going back and forth, and he opens and opens and shuts his mouth. Now we can animate those textures doing that in the keyframe. Okay, so we'll keep it on the shut part. Alright. Now let's right click on the head and go to direct. Okay, and then we go to direct and properties. Now I already have them set up, so or at least I thought I did. Let's switch to prepare. Now it should automatically be like this. If it's not, if it's showing invisible or color, switch it to image, okay? And then put it on keyframe. Now we're ready to animate the textures. But first we need our audio track. We gotta have an audio track for him to talk to lip sync with. I'm sorry. Okay. You have to forgive me, I'm a little tired. I had a busy day. Okay. Alright. So let's import our audio. So we go to prepare at the top. We're not going to use audio because in Muvizu, audio is used for dialogue for the characters. And since we do not have the built-in lip sync feature of our imported droid, we have to use sound effects because we won't be able to use the dialogue. So we'll click on sound effects. Now choose either button you want to use, it don't matter. I'll use the first one. And I'm going to import my droid voice. I have several of them, but there's only one I want to use. And these are the ones I have. But I want to use this one because this is the one he says in the video. Okay, now let's play that back.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina. May I have your names, please?
Okay, that's what he says in the video. So now in that prepare sound effects dialog, let's switch to direct. Okay. Now at the beginning, let's push the record and add our sound effects, our audio.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina.
Now, you don't have to play it all the way through because Muvizu automatically adds it in there because it's just the way it is. It's just the way it does. Now, if you look at it, we don't see no sound patterns at all in that audio track. So what we need to do is switch to timeline. So go to tools and switch to the timeline. This is the timeline for everything. Okay, now we see this. We see the sound patterns. Okay. Now, to determine when we need him to open and shut his mouth while he talks, we need to add cue points. So at the beginning and end of every sound pattern, we're going to add a cue point. So I'll add one there, and I'll add one there. Okay, and then we'll slide it over and skip that blank area because that's a pause in between words. So we're going to get that one a cue point, and then if you want to be really detailed on it, you can put a cue point on every one of those patterns. But it's confusing because you're going to have so many there, um, and you don't know which key point is for what area. So I do it this way. I'll just go ahead and slide it to the end of that one, and then add a cue point. Okay, and then I'll go to this one right here and do the same thing, and I'll end it maybe right there. So we'll put a cue point there. So we have our first couple of words, and then we have a pause, and then we have a sentence here, another pause, and then we have our sentence there. Okay. Now, the reason why we do that is to help us determine when to open and shut his mouth, because when we switch to direct, you won't see that audio track. So right click on his head and go to direct and properties. Okay, and you should have this right here set up just like that. If not, then set it up. So we're going to open the mouth. So for the first words. So let's add a keyframe. Click on our texture thumbnail to open up our textures library. And as you can see, this is the one that we're currently on. You see the red square. Well, we want to click on this one. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, so I got to import the texture again. Okay, so let's import that texture again. And it's this one right here. Okay, there we go. Now his mouth is open. His mouth open on that first keyframe. So let's add about maybe 3 or 4. So move it over, add another keyframe, and then go back to your textures library. Click on that, and it shuts. So whatever which texture you're on now, it will be highlighted. So you'll know which one to select. It won't be hard. So we want that one. Okay, let's slide it over and add another one. And then we don't need that one because it's already there. And we'll select that one. Open and shut. Open and shut. Open and shut. So we got that one. Alright, now let's shut his mouth at the end of that. Okay. It automatically stays in that pattern. It's just they just switch around for every time you use it. So, but you'll know which one to select because it'll be the one that is not highlighted. Okay. So we got him shut there. He finished them first words. So we're going to move to the other side of that cue point because we got that break in between words. And we're going to keep doing the same process in between these two cue points. So let's do that now. They don't have to be real close together. You just don't want them too far apart. The closer they are, the faster he moves his mouth. So we'll put it right there. And just give me a few minutes while I get this done. It's one of the things about animating with keyframe. It's time consuming, but it's not hard. I mean, if you really want a real good animation in Muvizu, then just got to learn to be patient and just get it done, and you'll love the outcome. The outcome is worth the work. If you don't put so many of them, it won't take that long. But like I said, if you really want to get into detail and then get confused about the cue points, then you can go ahead and add a keyframe for every syllable. It don't matter. Alright, we're just about done with that one. We'll open and shut one more time. Open, and then we'll shut it right at that key point. Okay. All right. Now let's slide on over to the other side of that one because we got a break there. And let's keep doing the same thing. I'm just gonna like not so close together so it won't take so long. Just don't move them too far apart because his mouth will drag uh, with the words, so his words will come out faster than his mouth is moving. So we don't want to put them too far apart. Which I forgot to add that text. Let me see. Sometimes I'll skip, so you have to go. If you're not for sure, just go back to that last keyframe. Okay, so we got that one. It's always safe to save in between and save as you go. Let's say you get so many of them done, save it. That way, if Muvizu happens to crash on you or something when you open it back up, you won't have to start over again. So let's keep doing this until we get them done. We're just about done here. A few more. No, two more. Open. One more because his mouth is shut open, so we just need to shut it. So let's shut his mouth. Okay, we got that done. So let's go into tools and then open up the main timeline. That way we can see the audio track and the keyframes. Now let's play that. Now watch his mouth and then pay the keyframes. Here we go.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina. May I have your names, please?
See, that was perfect. Let's look at that again at a different angle.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina. May I have your names, please?
Perfect. And that's how you animate the textures with your imported objects. You just remember, when you import your objects, you got to do them you have to import them as ASE. So make sure you export them ASE so you can import them ASE. That way you can use the transparency opacity. Say like if I import, let's say, let's see, the bouncer head, and this is an ASE right here. Let me let me back up some. I don't want to. So if I import that head again as ASE, okay, and this is the import object options. You want to keep the first one as don't use ID textures. Okay, and the first one has to be. See how you got or not the first one, but the second one. Uh, map alpha 2. Well, what we want, not just opacity or opacity mask. We want opacity and mask. That is the combination of textures and transparency. So we want both of them on there. And then we don't want single-sided. We want to be safe and make sure uh, if we're getting kind of leaks or something like that in through the model, and there won't be where you can see daylight or the other side of it. So this will allow the texture to show on both sides. So inside and out. and you won't have that daylight bleeding through the crevices or the cracks of your models. If you're not, you know, certain that your model is that perfect. Anyway, you just click OK. Okay, let me put that on float so I can move it around and show you. See, it's the same mouth. It's the same model. The mouth is there just like his, and it's the same thing. But let's just say if I import that same model again, okay, if I import that same model, and if I do not use uh, neither one, this is what you'll get. Let me make it float. So without the opacity and the opacity mask, this is what you get. His mouth is open, and you can still see the top one. Both of them are there. See? But with the mask and opacity, you don't see that bottom jaw. You just see the top one. So that's why it's important to import your models as ASE for your animating the textures. So now we got him animated with his mouth, so we got his lip sync into place, and it's working fine. We don't want him kind of standing still while he's talking. So we're going to right click on the head, and we're going to go to direct and movement. And don't worry, this will not distort the animation that you did for the textures. This is entirely a different animation. We're doing movement, not textures or images. Okay, so we're going to click on the add keyframe to add our first keyframe here. And I'm going to you know, put it far apart so that way we can just move his head. Okay, and then we'll add another. We'll kind of spread it out a little bit. We'll add another. And then I usually do two of them, another. And we're not going to do nothing with these. We're going to leave them blank. And then we're going to go and add another one right here. And then we'll move it. Okay, that is because we don't want them skipping his head around. We want that kind of a pause in between movements. We don't want it like having his head bobbing back and forth at the same, all together. We want it to be a pause and then move. So let's do that again. We'll add two of them. And then we'll move his head back. So there won't be no pause there. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning and let's play that back and demonstrate it.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina. May I have your names, please?
There's still a little jerky in there, but that means we just need to spread these pause keyframes apart a little bit to keep it from jerking. Okay, now we can animate the arms. Now you can start animating the arms any part of the timeline you want. So we'll click on that arm and we'll add a keyframe, and then we'll put one there. We'll spread that arm like that, turn it around like that. Then we're going to do the same thing, and let's make our pause points a little bit further apart. Okay, and then let's add that next movement to the arm. And we'll bring it back there like that. Okay, now let's click on the other arm. And we'll do it right here. Okay, and one right there. Okay, and then we'll do that pause again. One there, and then one there, and then one at the end, and then we'll bring that arm back. Alright, now let's go back to the beginning and let's play that back.
Hi, and welcome to the cantina. May I have your names, please?
See? Well, that's basically it. I hope this was helpful. I hope everything was clear for you to understand. I'll probably end up doing another uh, texture animation tutorial later on, maybe with a bird or something, and show you how to put a bird in flight using that animated texture. But this is the workaround for uh, your own imported characters for Lipsync and adding speech to your characters without using the Muvizu characters. So that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful to everyone. Um, y'all, if y'all like the video and would like to see more, please, if you'd like to see more, subscribe to my channel. Give me a couple of likes and shoot, if you would, just buy me a cup of coffee. Uh, anyway, y'all have a blessed day and enjoy.